last 10 years, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has produced about 21% per annum returns as a broad index. Over the last 5 years, it's been closer to 25% per annum, and over the last 3 years, closer to 30% per annum. So that's an excellent performance. Now, you can participate in that performance by just buying an ETF that gives you exposure to the top 40 index or to any of the other major indices on the stock exchange. In the broader context, can a passive investment product outperform the actively managed funds, which are sold to you as unit trusts or as segregated portfolios by the active management industry? Well, in South Africa, it's very difficult to outperform the index because the index is so comprehensive. And as I say, the index covers the top 90% of the performances in the index. So for an active manager to outperform that index, he often has to take on risks by taking smaller companies or by investing in perhaps more risky investments. So we find in South Africa that over a 20-year period, and you can look at any intervening period in between from 1 year to 20 years, 80% of all actively managed unit trusts can't outperform the index. So if you're buying an index, you outperform 80% of all the actively managed funds in South Africa, and that's before costs. Once you start taking all your costs into account, then in fact it becomes even more difficult for the active manager to outperform the index. So for many people, whether you're a big investor or a small investor, buying the index makes sense as an investment strategy. You can have a much more balanced portfolio doing this yourself, outperform those products significantly and do it at significantly lower costs. And this is probably the biggest area where ETFs are being used by investors, is to not only institutional investors, but the retail investor, is to say, let me go and develop my own portfolio, and I can do this from very low investment amounts, allocate a debit order, 300 Rand a month to 4 or 5 different ETFs. That gives me a balanced portfolio. If you're not capable of, you're not comfortable doing that yourself, well, there are certain financial advisors, and etfSA is one of them, where you can come and ask for advice on putting together a portfolio that suits your particular financial requirements.